Television experience is about to be transformed to the next level. Enjoy amazing features with the new DTT decoder by XCAF. Watch television in high definition and excellent sound quality. Watch Gambian channels such as GRTS, QTV, Star TV, Paradise TV and MTA with one decoder, all for free. That's not all. For a monthly subscription of $510, you get 60 international channels from your favorite football leagues, news, African movies, telenovelas, cartoons and much more. Get the decoder for $2,040, which comes with free installation, 24/7 customer and technical support all year round, and 1 month free subscription for only $510 thereafter. Get the decoder at XCAF Gambia, located at Hendon Court Building, former Dream Park, Senegambia, or through approved dealers. For more info, call 446-1060 or 446-1061. The world is at your fingertips with the XCAF DTD decoder.
Supersonic's money transfer is giving you an unbeatable offer this Tobaski. Your family and friends can now send you monies from the whole of Europe, US, Canada and Switzerland for absolutely free. Yes! This Tobaski, enjoy our safe, fast, reliable and convenient money transfer service with the largest payout network in the Gambia at zero transfer charges. So your family and friends wouldn't have to worry about transfer charges when sending you monies from Europe, USA, Canada and Switzerland this Tobaski. Visit the Google Play Store or the Apple Store today to download the Supersonics Money Transfer app and enjoy excellent money transfer services only with Supersonics. Support your own. Tobaski just got better with Supersonics Money Transfer.
Morning, Cabinet Ministers. We have the Minister of Fisheries, our elderly statesman, the Honorable James Gov'T. We have the Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmadulamin Samate. Our host minister is the Minister of Information and Communication Infrastructure, the Honorable Ibrahim Asila. We have Minister Gomez is assisted by his permanent secretary, Dr. Banja. We also have the directors, two directors from the Ministry of Water Resources who are also here. It's our pleasure to welcome you all here. To my left, I have the Director of Information Services, Madam Aisha Davis Ann, and of course the police also is represented by my friend and brother Ibrahim Abba, Assistant IGP from the Police Department. Ladies and gentlemen of the press corps, invited guests, welcome to the GRTS building for a very important press conference where the various ministries have actually collated developments that are unfolding in those ministries. The Honorable Minister of Information will very shortly read us out a statement that summarizes what happens across the spectrum in all the ministries in the Gambia. And then thereafter, he will read out a statement. After the statement, we will have the Honorable Minister of Fisheries. Then thereafter, the Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmadulamin Samate, will give us an update on the COVID-19 pandemic. Among other things, transparency also means dialogue. Dialogue with people, particularly journalists. You are the interlocutors of the information we provide with the public. And we thought it fitting that today, we'll invite you. Also in our midst, you will notice young people who have been recruited among several Gambians who applied to join the government to become information officers. We have maybe over 24 of them who are here, beautiful ladies, nice men, young guys. Welcome to the civil service, welcome to journalism, and welcome to the new Gambia. It's an open press conference. I would ask and indulge you as my colleagues to be very decorous, to exercise maximum propriety in the way you ask questions, and then to give chance to each other that everybody would have a chance to ask one question. And we try and put the press conference at least under 1 hour, given that today is Friday, and many people will be leaving for the Friday congregational prayers. I thank you and welcome to GRTS. Honorable Minister.
you. Thank you, Chairman, Mr. Chairman, and spokesperson of the government of the Gambia, honorable ministers here present, the permanent secretary, Ministry of Fisheries and Water Resources, the two directors from the Ministry of Fisheries and Water Resources, the Director of Information Services, the Deputy IG present here, senior government officials, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the maiden edition of the Ministerial Press Conference coordinated by the Ministry of Information and Communication Infrastructure through the Office of the Government Spokesperson. This event is part of broader activities to articulate the programs and activities of the government of the Gambia for citizens to make informed choices. The government of the Gambia has committed itself to ensuring that this weekly interface becomes a routine process of working with the media to transmit public information to the entire public. The methodology of this engagement is that every Friday, government will be releasing a weekly roundup of important programs and activities that have been implemented or are being implemented across the broad spectrum of government ministries, departments, and agencies. I would like to read for you the weekly roundup from the various ministries, and we start with the Ministry of Women, Children, and Social Welfare. As part of efforts to support vegetable growers across the country, the Ministry of Women, Children, and Social Welfare has recently engaged women onion growers to buy all their produce at farm gate price. A total of 750 bags of 18 kilos of onion was bought from women producers in different parts of the country. The Ministry of Women, Children, and Social Welfare, having seen the attendant benefits associated with this arrangement, has now decided to work with the private sector in collaboration with the Ministry of Trade to facilitate the purchase of locally produced onions across the Gambia. Efforts have now begun to form the women producers into cooperatives to ensure that there are enough locally produced onions in the country that will be bought directly by the private sector. In order to ensure sustainability of this initiative, government will from now on place a moratorium on the importation of onions into the country when the locally produced ones are being harvested. Ministry of Health and Social Welfare. As part of efforts to effectively combat the COVID-19 pandemic, the government of the Gambia has commenced paying honorarium to COVID-19 frontline workers. An amount of $100 million has been put aside for this activity. The frontline workers have been categorized into 4 groups as follows: low risk, moderate risk, high risk, and high risk plus. The payment of the COVID-19 honorarium to frontline health workers is part of government's decision to supplement the good efforts that healthcare personnel are doing in this critical period. Government continues to be fully engaged in the fight against COVID-19. The Ministry of Health, together with its partners, is accelerating the public information campaign for the general public to be fully sensitized and compliant with the preventative rules set out by the WHO to protect themselves against the virus. The Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Technology. The Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, MOHAST, has recently paid over $12,900,000 to non-government funded Gambian students studying abroad. A total of 836 Gambian students in different parts of the world benefited from this package with a $300 one-off payment. This was part of government's initial response to support non-government funded students abroad. Currently, the Ministry of Higher Education is pursuing additional funds to support the remaining set of students who are yet to receive help in the first place. Similarly, the Higher Education Ministry was able to fast-track the annual help, it was able to fast-track the annual top-up stipend for the academic year 2019 to 2020, amounting to over $16 million for 321 students, equivalent to $317,680. These said students are the ones who have gone through the Ministry of Higher Education through bilateral cooperation and are not supposed to benefit from the COVID-19 support. These students are in Sudan, India, Tunisia, Morocco, and Indonesia. The Ministry of Youth and Sport. The Ministry of Youth and Sports recently commenced a multi-million-dollar project for the construction of mini stadia in all regions of the Gambia, including Kian Julafar Manduar in the Lower River region, Kafuta in the Kombo East region of the West Coast, and Fula Bantang in the Central River region. Similarly, other projects are expected to be inaugurated soon in Brikama, Kasakunda, and Buyam in the West Coast region, and Bara in the North Bank region, Pakaliba in the Lower River region, Kaur and Janjambure in the Central River region, and Diabugu in the Upper River region. The Basse Kobakunda Mini Stadium, the Jarasoma Mini Stadium, and the Farfanya Mini Stadium are to be elevated to standard mini stadia with over 20,000 capacity each. The Gambia's youth constitute about 70% of the population, which necessitated the need for their effective mainstreaming in government's development agenda to drive the country's socio-economic change. Currently, a total of 154 youths are on training in different areas such as plumbing, construction, welding, fabrication, and carpentry under the supervision of the National Youth Service Scheme, NYSS. There are also plans to set up a pilot scheme for the implementation of training, production, processing, and marketing of locally grown rice to support national food security drive, initially with 50 young people at Sapo Field Station in the Central River region for this initiative. This activity is costed at about $8 million and will last for 12 months. There are also plans to upgrade the Nyanibera farm in the West Coast region to provide integrated sustainable agricultural production in the Gambia. The Ministry of Defense, with support and collaboration of development partners and relevant stakeholders, the Ministry of Defense is in the process of drafting a defense policy, which is the first of its kind in the history of the Gambia. When completed, the defense policy will guide the operations and activities of the ministry and the Gambia Armed Forces in line with international best practices. As part of efforts to address growing concerns over the location of the Gambia Armed Forces firing range at Brikama Jamisa, the services of experts from the British Army were engaged, and they have done some feasibility studies in some areas within the countryside for possible relocation of the range. This process is ongoing, and it is expected to be completed in due course. Also, the Ministry of Defense had series of consultative engagements with development partners geared towards strengthening the military-civil-military cooperation and foster collaboration on the ongoing security sector reform in the area of defense. In June 2020, the National Assembly ratified 2 agreements between the government of Turkey and the government of the Gambia on military cooperation signed in 2019 as follows. 1, the implementation of protocols regarding the financial assistance agreement between the government of Turkey and the government of the Gambia on cooperation in military field of training, technique, and science, signed on the 22nd May 2019, and the military financial cooperation agreement between the government of Turkey and the government of the Gambia, signed on the 22nd of May 2019. The 2 ratified agreements will significantly benefit the Gambia Armed Forces in the area of capacity building and peacekeeping operations. The Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs. The Gambia recently reached a staff-level agreement with the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, paving a way for a 3-year program that could be supported by an extended credit facility, ECF, arrangement in the amount of SDR 35 million, or around 48 million US dollars. The IMF was impressed with the Gambia's strong performance, with the country gaining competitiveness as a tourist destination, strong private sector consumption, and investment supported by foreign exchange inflows and greater availability of credit to local people. Over the medium term, sound microeconomic policies will underpin the prospect for sustained growth, the strengthening of foreign exchange buffers, and inflation moderating from an average of 7.1% in 2019 to the Central Bank of the Gambia's target of 5% in 2019. The Gambia's bilateral partners have also recognized significantly improved fiscal efforts in 2018 and 2019, which helped to reduce the deficit in major part thanks to strong domestic revenue mobilization. Efforts by the Ministry of Finance to maintain fiscal transparency and sound procurement governance procedures have been roundly praised by our development partners, with the United States government releasing a report this week that the Gambia has met the minimum requirement for fiscal transparency. The U.S. Fiscal Transparency Report says the key documents of the Gambia's budget are publicly available, which are substantially complete and are generally reliable. The Gambia has made much needed progress on the restructuring of its external debt, with debt services deferrals agreed with most of our participating creditors have remarkably improved the Gambia's debt outlook and enabled it to fix debt distress. The Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Employment. As part of efforts to ease the impact of the COVID-19 on the economy and the population in general, the Ministry of Trade, Regional Integration and Employment spearheaded the implementation of the Essential Commodities Emergency Power Regulation 2020 to regulate the supply and prices of essential commodities in the market. This regulation and other government interventions ensure Gambians do not suffer from the shortage in food items or unnecessary price hiking. As a result, a moratorium on the importation of onions and potatoes was lifted with a view to stabilize supplies. A task force to facilitate the availability of rams for Tabaski has been launched and is working with stakeholders to ease movement and sale of rams in this era of COVID-19. The objective of this endeavor is to discuss and agree on modalities for accessibility and affordability of the livestock to the general public during this important feast. Ministry of Fisheries and Water Resources. The Ministry of Fisheries and Water Resources since 2017 has been spearheading efforts to enhance a sustainable and vibrant fisheries and aquaculture industries in the Gambia. From September 2019 to June 2020 alone, more than 1,030 Gambians have been directly employed by the sector as either observers, onboard fishing fellows, or deck hands. During this corresponding period, a total of $178 million has been generated from license fees, 10% fishing landings, and fines from infringement. The Ministry of Fisheries and Water Resources has also been spearheading the supply of potable, clean drinking water to vulnerable communities across the Gambia. Just recently, the Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Water Resources, through support from the Saudi Sahelian project, embarked on a tour to provide 27 solar-powered water supply systems to 47 rural communities in all the 5 administrative regions of the Gambia. Over 50,000 people in the target communities benefited directly from this project. The Ministry of Tourism and Culture. The Ministry of Tourism and Culture has embarked on putting in place robust policies and strategies as part of efforts to prepare for post-COVID-19 effects on the hospitality industry in general in the Gambia. Currently, the Gambia Tourism Board, in collaboration with the Gambia Bureau of Statistics, supported by the United Nations Development Program, the UNDP, is conducting a rapid response survey to ascertain the impact of COVID-19 on tourism in the Gambia. This important exercise will, among others, help the Gambia government and other partners to undertake measures to mitigate the negative impacts and, most importantly, formulate informed policy decisions in the recovery of tourism in the Gambia. The Gambia, just like many other countries around the world, is seriously affected as a result of travel restrictions associated with the COVID-19 pandemic. As part of the strategies, the Ministry of Tourism is promoting local tourism by upgrading bedding and other infrastructures across the country. Just recently, the Minister of Tourism laid the foundation stone of several rural hotels between 3- and 4-star standards. The ultimate objective of this initiative is to create employment, but also improve rural tourism infrastructure to reduce poverty and create employment opportunities for Gambians' rural dwellers, or for Gambia's rural dwellers. The Ministry of Petroleum and Energy. The events of the COVID-19 pandemic have led to the suspension of the planned drilling by FAR Petronas for 3 to 6 months. As a result, the drilling of a well that was scheduled for the end of 2020 have now been rescheduled to 2021. Similarly, British Petroleum's work program will experience a delay of about 3 months, meaning BP's drilling activities will take place in 2021. Furthermore, on the petroleum products supply, due to low demand, prices have fallen. However, the Ministry of Petroleum and Energy convened an emergency meeting at the wake of the pandemic to ensure that both heavy and light fuel were imported in bulk by oil marketing companies to avoid shortage during this time. Through its ongoing structural and legislative reforms, the Ministry of Petroleum and Energy has recently tabled a bill at the National Assembly to create an autonomous petroleum commission to further strengthen the regulatory landscape and ensure regulatory independence of the upstream activities of the sector. This bill is at the National Assembly for consideration and enactment. The Ministry, via Sustainable Energy Fund for Africa, SIFA, under the African Development Bank, AFDB, is implementing a Green Mini-Grid GMG country support program. The Green Mini-Grid country support program is the flagship project of SIFA to support eligible countries to develop the enabling framework and investment program for the green mini-grids to increase energy access and stimulate socio-economic development. Overall, the project is expected to contribute to the implementation and rollout of green mini-grids to supply electricity to off-grid communities in the rural areas of the Gambia, thereby improving their standard of living and stimulating socio-economic development. The mining sector under the ministry also continues to be a driving force in terms of employment and availability of raw materials such as sand, gravel, clay, to name a few, for the construction industry in particular. As the sector in charge of mineral resources in the Gambia, the Ministry of Petroleum and Energy has now developed regulations that will not only ensure regulatory certainty, but a transparent and predictable business environment that supports government's efforts to combat money laundering and illicit trading of precious minerals in the Gambia. Thank you so much. This is the summary or a roundup from the different ministries.
without moving the microphone. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister of Information, for that lucid and very thorough update from the various ministries. I now have the pleasure to invite the Honorable James Fubus Gomez to also give us an update from his Ministry of Fisheries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, honorable cabinet colleagues, Director of Information, Director of Fisheries and Director of Water Resources and Director of Fisheries, my honorable permanent secretary, colleagues, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I think I would, before starting to say anything, congratulate the honorable minister for this wonderful gesture that we are able to tell our colleagues, all the Gambians, what is happening with government. I think this is a very noble idea, and I congratulate you for this. The Minister of Fisheries, Water Resources and National Assembly Matters have since 2018 been engaged in implementing activities toward achieving the overall goal spelled out in National Development Plan 2018 to 2021 for the fisheries and water sector. The goal for the fisheries sector is to promote a vibrant fisheries and aquaculture sector through research, sustainable management, and utilization of fisheries resources that would enhance employment and livelihood opportunities, income and foreign exchange earnings, food and nutrition security. The outcome of the goal is to enhance institutional efficiency and effectiveness for the fisheries sector. The second outcome is the value chain improved for fisheries and aquaculture transformation. Progress on programs implemented by the fisheries sector. The implementation of the EU-Gambia Sustainable Fisheries Partnership Agreement has started, and the Gambia government has received an amount of $15,500,000 from the EU. This amount is for access and will be paid annually for the 6-year period. The Fisheries Department has also received the amount of $15,500,000, which is equivalent to 275,000 euros for the year 2020. This amount is for sectoral support and will be paid by the EU annually for the duration of the agreement. In pursuance of the implementation protocol of the agreement, a joint committee meeting between the partners as EU and Gambia was held in Banjul for the purpose of developing a work plan to be under the sectoral support, including the preparation of a 6-year matrix for the duration of the agreement, 2020 to 2024. We also draw and finalize that plan. Recruitment of a national expert to provide support and oversight supervision in the implementation of the sectoral support was completed in February 2020. National experts have started work in earnest and are busy restructuring fisheries organizations countrywide with a view to creating an apex body that would govern smaller associations in the additional subsector. Establishment of a fisheries monitoring center. The Minister of Fisheries was able to secure Public Procurement Authority, GPPA, approval for a single source for the procurement of equipment for training fisheries staff as well as National Navy staff. Draft contract between the Minister of Fisheries and CLS has been prepared and be vetted by the Ministry of Justice prior to signature. Construction of 14 boats is almost completed and will soon be handed over to the Department of Fisheries. The boats are to be used as follows. 2 boats to be allocated for training of Gambian entrants into the fisheries sector and become fully fledged fishermen, particularly the young people. 2 boats will be allocated for monitoring of activities against illegal, unregulated, and unreported fishing along the coastal and inland areas. 10 boats will be allocated to communities to increase fish production and income generation and employment. Aquaculture. The way forward for aquaculture development in the Gambia is to have easy access to quality fish feed and seeds. Fingerlings. On the 7th and 8th of July 2020, the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, of the United Nations handed over to the government 2 fisheries hatcheries for tilapia and catfish in Jahali field and 2 fish feed mills, one in Jahali in CRR and the other in Kuloro in WCR. Employment and revenue generation. From September 2019 to June 2020, a total of 1,036 Gambians were employed as either observers or on-board fishing trawlers or deckhands. During the corresponding period, a total of 178 million has been generated from license fees, 10% fish landing, and fines for infringement. The water sector. The goal for the water sector is to regulate and manage the sustainable utilization of water resources, coordinating related policies, and provide timely and accurate weather and climate data and information to safeguard population and to promote food security through effective participation, monitoring, and awareness creation for overall socio-economic development of the Gambia. The outcome: improve equitable access of safe, affordable water and sanitation, good hygiene practice, and environmental protection promotion for all. Progress on implementation in the water sector. The Department of Water Resources under my ministry is currently implementing 2 projects. These are Climate Smart Rural Waste Development Project funded by the African Development Bank to the tune of $40 million. The just ended Saudi Sahelian project funded by the Saudi Fund for Development to the tune of $3.5 million. The aim of both projects is to provide access to safe and quality drinking water for our rural population. The Climate Smart Rural Waste Development Project. The goal of the WASH project. The overall goal of the project reflects the goal of the sector enshrined in the NDP: improve equitable access to safe and affordable water supply and sanitation, good hygiene practice, and environmental protection promotion for all. Increase sustainable access to safe water and basic sanitation in rural and peri-urban areas. 17% and at least 2% increase in improved sanitation coverage. Enhance service delivery capacity. Create opportunities for improved livelihood, including youth employment through community-based water resource management for climate change impact adaptation and mitigation respectively. The project will provide 144 solar-powered water supply systems to 276 communities in all 5 administrative regions of the country. At the end of this project, more than 400,000 of our rural population would have access to safe and quality drinking water. The implementation of this WASH project was delayed due to COVID-19 and will resume full project execution immediately the COVID-19 situation improves. Saudi Sahelian project. The Saudi Sahelian project already provides 27 solar power water supply systems for 47 rural communities in all 5 administrative regions of the country. These water facilities were handed over to the beneficiaries communities in early June 2020, and over 50,000 of our rural population benefit directly from this project. The Japanese Cooperation Agency, JICA. The Department of Water Resources under my ministry in 2018 submitted a request to Japan International Corporation to provide 36 solar water supply facilities to promote the use of renewable energy. However, following the Japanese project grant procedure, the government of Japan has provided financial support for the construction and installation of 20 solar water supply facilities using borehole as a water source for sustainable supply of safe and quality drinking water in rural areas. It is expected that over 50,000 of our rural population will benefit directly from this support. The notes of exchange of the government of Japan and the government of the Gambia were signed on Friday, 29 November 2019, and the grant agreement would be signed on 27 July 2020. Program of Accelerated Community Development. I am happy to inform the general public that for the first time in the history of the Gambia, the government of the Gambia is providing funds for the construction and installation of water supply system for the rural populace. The Program for Accelerated Community Development, PACD, coordinated by the Office of the President, will provide 20 solar-powered water supply systems to 35 rural communities of the Gambia. Meteorology. Water and climate and water-related hazards such as floods, drought, dry spell, winds, and dust storm constitute around 90% of the natural disasters in the country. In this regard, Hydrometeorological Service would continue to receive government support in order to provide weather and climate information, particularly early warning services. This is with the view of mitigating the impact of weather-related hazards associated with the various socioeconomic sectors. Therefore, the inclusion of meteorological factors into our disaster risk reduction strategy is not an option, but an obligation. National Framework for Climate Service. With the financial support of ECOWAS, the Department of Water Resources, our meteorological, hydrological service provider and partners are also collaborating through WMO to establish a national framework for climate service. In view of the increasing uncertain climate path, my ministry continues to place a significant emphasis on observing, monitoring, and predicting the weather, climate, and status of freshwater resources of the country, in full support of the implementation of the National Development Plan. As such, I am pleased to inform this audience that Gambia received ISO 9001-2015 QMS compliance for medical service to aviation in January 2019. The annual maintenance ISO 9001-2005 audit is scheduled for 4th and 5th of August 2020. Semi-autonomous agencies. Government has reached an advanced stage in transforming the Department of Water Resources to two semi-autonomous agencies and one department. This is happening as the construction of our new headquarters building for the Meteorological Service will be completed by the middle of 2021. The African Ministerial Conference on Meteorology. The African Ministerial Conference on Meteorology was established in 2010 to provide political leadership for the development, provision, and update of weather, water, and climate service that meet sector-specific sectoral needs. ANCOMET shall support its member states in addressing the major challenges related to delivery of weather and climate service in Africa. ANCOMET shall inter alia provide a permanent forum at which African ministers responsible for meteorology can discuss matters related to development of meteorology and its application, including the contribution to disaster risk reduction and socio-economic development in Africa. I am pleased to inform you that the National Assembly of the Republic of the Gambia on Tuesday, 9 July 2020, ratified the ANCOMET Constitution. Partnership with UNICEF. Under the government of the Gambia and UNICEF country program of cooperation, our ministry through the Department of Water Resources, is supporting schools in health facilities with the provision of sanitation facilities at 5 schools with water supply system and at six schools in lower and upper basic schools in 4 administrative regions in the country, as well as construction and rehabilitation of water supply system in 5 health facilities, and also provide adequate sanitation facility for Basse and Diabuku health facilities. The support for the construction and rehabilitation of water supply system and sanitation facilities for schools and health facilities are geared towards prevention and elimination of COVID-19 pandemic within school, health facilities, and communities at large. The Department of Water Resources, in partnership with UNICEF, have initiated a process of procuring 5 drums of psyllium hypoxide water quality laboratory testing reagents and equipment, including water storage facility, to strengthen the water quality laboratory. These are geared towards containment and spread of COVID-19 pandemic and improve water supply and sanitation activities in rural communities. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, Minister James Gomez, that is. I now have the pleasure and the honor to invite my brother, the Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmad Lamin Samate, to talk to us about the latest developments as it pertains to the COVID pandemic in the Gambia, to talk to us about the trajectory of the disease, the behavior of our people in the communities, and vis-a-vis the regulations that are in place, and Dr. Samate, after his update, we will now open the floor thereafter for the questions and answers. Thank you, Dr. Samate.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, the government spokesman and chair of this occasion, cabinet colleagues, the permanent secretary, Ministry of Fisheries and Water Resources, the various directors here present, government officials here present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen from the media. We are delighted to be here once again to have this interaction with you, and we add our voice unto that of the Honorable James Gomez, who is a very senior statesman of this country, to congratulate our host, the Minister of Information and Communication Infrastructure, for spearheading this drive to have this tete-a-tete with the media and indirectly with the people of the Gambia, because what you collate here is directly related to the people of the Gambia. It is very important in the sense that a whole lot of good things have been happening. A whole lot of very good things have happened in this country so far, and a whole lot are currently happening. Inshallah, a whole lot will be happening for the people of this Gambia, and people need to know. That disconnect, hopefully, will no longer be there, because what is happening, everyone, whether it's affecting our area or not, everyone will get to know through these briefings. In the health sector, certainly, a whole lot is happening. A whole lot is also overshadowed by the COVID-19 pandemic, but within that itself, we're seeing quite a lot of dramatic activities. The Gambia so far has registered 88 confirmed COVID-19 cases, 14 new cases as we speak today. Out of those 88 cases, 49 have recovered, There are 36 active cases, and we have lost 3 of our COVID-19 patients in this country. COVID-19 pandemic, we all know about it. It has, the impact is felt everywhere. The high incidence keeps on shifting from one place to the other. We have seen that. It started in China, where we've all seen the impact. It moved to Europe, and then it moved to the Americas, and now we are seeing an increasing rate in our African continent. That tells us that COVID-19 is not a joke. It is on the rise in Africa. We are seeing what is happening in the Gambia. The number of cases is increasing. Equally speaking, local transmission is also ongoing now in the Gambia, and people need to be aware. Unfortunately, in our struggle to contain the disease, we've had a whole lot of successes, because the Gambia, as we speak, has been one of the best performing countries when it comes to the containment of COVID-19. We could see that, in fact, as we speak, Gambia has registered the least number of cases on the African continent. The number of people who are tested is increasing, yet still, even though our numbers are on the rise, it is still better compared to other African countries. But that is no reason for complacency. That is an opportunity not to be missed. That should be capitalized on, so that we make sure that as a country, we maintain the levels even lower. Unfortunately, most of our people are not heeding to the social distancing rules. They are not heeding to the use of the mask. Government has put forward these strategies for the benefit of the citizenry. If they were not beneficial, no government would have wasted its time by putting forward these measures. But we want to inform the people of this country that social distancing should still be maintained. We should still continue washing our hands, hand washing. Personal hygiene should still continue. The use of the mask hopefully will become mandatory very soon. It's also encouraged. But when we know something is good, it doesn't have to be mandatory before we start practicing it. So I guess we should all start practicing the use of the face mask. If 2 individuals are together and none is putting on the mask, and one is infected with the coronavirus, the chance of the other person being infected is more than 90%. If both put on the mask and one is infected, the chance of infection is just about 1.5%. So I think there is a big difference. So we urge everyone to put on the mask. The COVID-19 pandemic and the support we are getting from government to contain this pandemic has been enormous. There has been a very high level commitment from His Excellency himself, the entire cabinet, the entire government machinery is on the move together with the partners to contain COVID-19 in this country. A lot has been happening with regards to the provision of resources, regards to the training of individuals, with regards to the sensitization. Health workers are at the forefront of these containment efforts. They've been having sleepless nights to make sure our people are protected, even at immense risk to themselves and their families. I'm sure you are all aware that we've lost one of our members, a frontline health worker who was a nurse at the front line providing services for the people of this country, and he got infected and he succumbed to the disease. We want to remember him in our prayers. We want to tell him that he will never be forgotten for sacrificing his life to the people, for the people of this country, being a frontline health worker. We also want to reassure the family that this government will never abandon them. Government will stand by them. And we had announced that the family will get a compensation package. This is by no means a replacement of the life lost, but it is just to support the family. And we had also announced that all his children will get scholarships in government institutions up to first degree level in the university in the Gambia. This is just as a way of supporting the family. To all the frontline health workers, we say to them, the government appreciates your efforts for being there, standing at the firing line to protect the people of this country, and we will never forget you as a government. And we also want to assure you that apart from the government support, you'll continue to get more support from the people of this country. We want to thank the government, the partners, individuals who have supported our efforts in containing this disease, a lot of ordinary people, philanthropists, other businessmen, everybody in the community has supported the efforts of the Ministry of Health in the containment of COVID-19. We cannot go without sending our sincere appreciation to the men and women of the media who have been there from the onset, come rain, come shine. You were there to make sure that the people got the information that they needed and to make sure that the preventive strategies were disseminated to the entire country. COVID-19 is a very important challenge for us now as a government, as a ministry, but the Ministry of Health and the government is also using the opportunity and the resources obtained against COVID-19 to strengthen our health facilities across the length and breadth of this country. Isolation centers are being renovated in the country. Treatment centers are being constructed. A whole lot of medical equipment are being procured. Inshallah, next week we'll be receiving medical equipment from Turkey, including a lot of life-saving equipment, and 10 state-of-the-art ambulances will arrive here next week, inshallah. More medical equipment are being procured from the COVID-19 funds, and these are going to be distributed across the length and breadth of this country to strengthen all the health facilities in all the regions of the Gambia. These include oxygen concentrators, defibrillators, digital X-ray machines, patient monitors, ventilators, just to name a few. The Ministry of Health has also started the renovation of a number of facilities across the length and breadth of this country. Work is ongoing at the SAO District Hospital. The Njau Health Post is being renovated. Wuli Kerawan Health Post is being renovated, and the ministry is putting up a hemodialysis center at the Bansang General Hospital for the service of the people who reside in those regions, and that will be the second hemodialysis center for the Gambia, in addition to that at EFSTH. The Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital and the Polyclinic in Banjul will soon get entire renovation to upgrade the facilities, to upgrade the structures, to make them functional, for the service delivery that they are supposed to be doing. We are also pleased to inform all of you that postgraduate training has started at the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital. That means we are training doctors to specialize in general surgery and in obstetrics and gynecology. That is already ongoing, and these doctors do not have to travel outside to become specialists in those areas, to become consultants, to provide those services to the people of this country. We've also gotten accreditation to train specialists in pediatrics, internal medicine, and family medicine, and the first cohort of candidates have passed their primary exams to start training in these fields, and very soon we'll get trainers from elsewhere, from outside, to join with the local trainers here to commence training in these 3 disciplines. These go a long way in filling the gap in specialist care in the Gambia. This is an important step in our capacity building drive because it will reduce the referral rate of patients outside the Gambia, and it will ensure that our people get quality healthcare service delivery right here at home. The government is also on the verge of starting the construction of a new state-of-the-art health center at Njau, Upper Salum. This will be started very soon, and that region that has been deprived of quality health care, where the health indicators have been very low for so many years, for many decades for that matter, that area will also get a new state-of-the-art health center. We are also happy to announce that 5 health posts have been constructed at Tampoto, Brikama Nyambai, Brikama Welingara, Busumbala, and Makumbaya, and these facilities will be inaugurated in a few weeks. 11 other similar facilities will be built across the length and breadth of the country. We are also pleased to inform you that work is far advanced in renovating the Serekunda Sandika Health Center. This will soon be expanded and upgraded. The logistics have been put in place. The Brikama Major Health Center is also going to be renovated and revamped. The Buyam General Hospital is also going to be renovated very soon. So in summary, a whole lot is happening behind the scenes, and we are happy that you are here for us to give you a summary. This is just the tip of the iceberg as to what is happening, all the development that is happening in the Ministry of Health across the length and breadth of this country. Once again, we want to use the opportunity to thank you very much and to thank the Honorable Minister of Information and Communication Infrastructure for convening this press conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Samade. Because of Dr. Samade's deliberation, we also talked about the significance of wearing this mask. And this is why this morning, we need guidance for infrastructure, guidance for the enough mask for everybody. So the whole world, seriousness, with which this government takes this mask wearing. I'm now going to take the Ministerial. Shall we proceed? Yeah. I was alluding to Dr. Samate's speech that he talked about the significance of mask wearing. And that was why this morning, before we conveyed, we decided since last night, the Honorable Minister and the entire COVID committee last night at the Vice President's office, that we should come with enough masks so that as journalists, because you represent us, in a sense, because you are communicators, so that when people see you wear masks during this press conference, it will help for the people in the Gambia to appreciate the magnitude and the seriousness of this disease and the significance of mask wearing. And that was why we brought it. And we hope and pray that we will continue to wear this, because as I speak, the news today, we never said this, but I'm breaking the news to you, that part of the new regulations that President Adama Barrow signed into law and have been gazetted, is that mask wearing is now mandatory in the Gambia. In fact, beginning immediately, effective immediately, mask wearing is mandatory. However, since it was not announced, and given the fact that it involves some little cost here and there, up to next Friday, people should start now having the habit of mask wearing, because you can be assured that by next Friday, you will start having problems with the police if they see you on the streets and you are not in a mask. You have to explain why. It is now law. It's been gazetted that mask wearing is mandatory in the Gambia. Another important announcement I wanted to make is about ECOMIC, the West African forces that have been here since the impasse. There is an antecedent to their presence in the Gambia. We had a president who lost elections, who conceded defeat, and last minute he decided to recant his concession. Gambia was on the brink of war. The world leaders converged in New York and elsewhere, Western capitals, in Senegal, in West Africa. They've been toying and throwing into and out of the Gambia many, many times. A compromise could not be reached, and that's why it was called an impasse. Subsequent to the impasse, they decided that for sanity to prevail, we had to have forces here that would fix the situation, until at such a time that we feel the fragile peace is being fixed. The economic forces are not paid for by the Gambia government. And over it has been peddled on the internet that the Gambia is losing millions of dollars. That actually is totally inaccurate. The monies are paid for by the European Union. The ECOWAS are here to protect President Barrow, the Gambian people, and the sovereign integrity of this country. We knew the looming dangers that led to ECOWAS coming here. They have a mission to help us maintain the sovereign democracy that we all fought for. And to suggest otherwise really sometimes is just speculation. And it is worrisome that even among our security forces, some people are now becoming, I don't know whether it's narrow nationalism or what. No, this is not an occupying force. Gambia is not under siege. No. And it's not only Senegalese forces here. We have Ghanaians, Nigerians, So, and all the time, and even Sierra Leoneans at some point were here, When these people came to this country, they had a hero's welcome, And for all I know, honestly, unlike other trouble spots in the world, where you see peacekeeping forces come and every day they make the headlines on the BBC, doing bad stuff to people, raping women here and there, torturing people. These people, sometimes you don't even feel their presence in this country, except when you travel across the country and you see them with their stop signs and all that. So there's a reason why they're here, So and as journalists, I indulge you to investigate sometimes when you see some of these stories, and just avoid running one-sided stories about ECOMIC, they're here, they're taking our money, they're doing this. That's not true, honestly. And I hate to say it's not true because it may not be polite, but it's not accurate. So on those two pieces, I would now proceed and then invite you to ask questions, one at a time, one question. You say your name, you identify your news agency, and then you post your question. And then you can maybe direct your question to whoever you want to say. Thank you. Yes. No questions today? Hey, can you just come here and so that people can see you? Yeah, you can come around me here and put. No, come here. Because we don't have a podium, unfortunately. You have a mic? Well, that's only for GRTS. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, you're welcome. Come over. Come over. You can use my seat. It's okay.
Okay, good morning. My name is Omar Faye. I'm a freelance with the Chronicle. I also report for Choice FM. I want to direct this question to the Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmadu Lamin Samate. I don't know how often do you normally visit the Banjul Hospital, that's the RBT hospital, because in my recent engagement with some of the patients who normally go there, with regards to emergency, sometimes those who are on emergency mode are not normally attended on time. What the health center, the doctors there will tell them is that they lack enough hospital beds to put them. Sometimes even two people will kind of share one bed. And I want you as the minister to shed light on how often do we normally visit the hospital to see the conditions that people are living there, and also with regards to some of the issues that are happening in the health center. Because I've talked to some of the people and they expressed some of their frustration with regards to some of the things that are happening in the health center, and also some of the things that they are facing. So I want to know how often do you normally visit the health center, and what are things that you normally do? That's my question.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much. On the question, how often do I visit the FSTH? There is no pattern to my visit of the EFSTH, and there is no mandated frequency for me to visit the EFSTH. I visit the EFSTH very frequently when I want to spot check, and also when I just want to see what is happening there. It could be more than 3 times a week. It could be once in a fortnight. So there's no pattern for a minister to visit a particular institution, because the institution has its leadership. The chief medical director is there. The deputy chief medical director is there. It has a very vibrant board. They are the ones running the institution. Just like the FSTH, there are many institutions under the Ministry of Health. The Serekunda General Hospital is under the Ministry of Health. All the public health facilities are under the Ministry of Health, and we do bump into any of them at any time, sometimes at even odd times, to see what is happening. Now, with regards to the people at the emergency, sometimes they are told that the hospital is full. It is a reality that the hospital has become small for the people of this country, because the population is increased over the years, and the hospital size is virtually remained the same. But you've just heard me announce that we are going to renovate that health facility. We are going to upgrade it, and it is going to be functioning as a typical teaching hospital. Now, one of the reasons why the hospital is overburdened is because many of the district hospitals across the length and breadth of the country are not performing as they are supposed to be. That is why we are equipping them. That is why we are sending a lot more doctors. If you go around the country, you realize that a whole lot of the health centers, and especially the hospitals from Banjul to Koina, now have doctors who have been posted there. And we've recently also recruited physician assistants who have been posted to these facilities. Now, when those people perform exemplarily, that means the referral to EFSTH will be reduced, and hopefully that will reduce the suffering of the people. You know, most people want to receive medical treatment close to home, where family is present, where the support base is strong. So most people from our country want to receive their treatment there. So this is a strategy of the government to decentralize, to make sure that people get the services they are supposed to. Now, if patients are seen, there is a delay in seeing the patients, that will be investigated. And if you do have actual cases, do let us know. Because sometimes we tend to generalize, and that is maybe they are isolated cases, and in that case it's not good to generalize. But if they are isolated cases, the administration should know over there, even before the minister knows, because it's the responsibility of the administration to deal with that. Now, in every institution, in every walk of life, you have very good people, you have other people who may be found wanting once in a while by not reacting appropriately when they are supposed to react. But I think it is the responsibility of the management when they get that information to act on it. So as journalists too, if you have such information, verify. The management's doors are open all the time. If you walk into the office of the chief medical director there, and you ask him, or the deputy, or whoever is responsible, or the chief matron, you mention, or the director of administration and human resources, you mention this to them, I'm sure they will address it effectively. So sometimes this is what we urge you to do, and then in your investigative work, as you try to find out, because when these are said by individuals, you see, people say things for many reasons. Some people say things because it is true. Some people say things because they have things against individuals. Some people say things because of political reasons. Some people say things because of personal reasons. But I think it's the responsibility of the journalists to go to the root of the matter. You go to the people who are concerned and have a balanced picture. From my little experience, I have realized that when I hear one story from one person, I say, oh my goodness, you want to jump onto that person. But as you hear the narrative of the other person, you want to go back to the first person to jump onto that one. You realize that the fabrication you got earlier was not true. So when we investigate, we'll get to the root of it, and the essence is we will act accordingly, appropriately, in a timely fashion to address all those issues. Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. The first question with regards to how safe EFSTH is, EFSTH is safe. Yes, some individuals have tested positive who work or are affiliated with the EFSTH, but that doesn't mean the entire hospital is not safe. You would have known that health facilities are the focal point for people who are sick. In a lot of cases, that's where you detect them. That doesn't mean that it's not safe for people to go there. Whether there will be local transmission at the hospital, the people who are affected, they were working together closely. And that's most probably the source of the infection. Now, they were tested, but when healthcare workers are found to be positive, certainly is associated most of the time with their work. But the healthcare workers also come from the communities, and nothing stops them from being infected from the communities. So we should be mindful of this. Let's not think it's the hospital that is the center of infection. The infection came from the community to enter into the hospital. I hope you understand the logic. But the hospital is safe. Anytime it is deemed not to be safe, we will act appropriately because there are steps to take. You fumigate the rooms that might be thought to have been accommodating the people, or the rooms that would have been accommodating the people who are affected will be fumigated, and these fumigation exercises are on a regular basis. So the hospital is safe. Now, with regards to the use of the mask, yes, we are cognizant of the fact that not everybody can afford the mask. But the reusable mask, we think people should also make efforts. I think government cannot provide everyone everything all the time. This mask you are putting on, the cloth type, how many pieces can be obtained from one piece of wrapper? If you cut one piece of wrapper into, you can even get 30 or 40 masks from that. So I think we should also endeavor to get little things for ourselves. The socks we wear, government doesn't give us. We buy socks because we think they are beneficial. There are a lot of things that we wear, government doesn't give us. So if it is because, and the government says the mask is useful, we say government should also give us the mask, then there is a problem with it. So for those people who cannot afford it, government will endeavor to try to support them. Now, quite a number of philanthropists, quite a number of NGOs, quite a number of donors have donated the locally made mask. But I believe we should also endeavor to sew locally made masks for ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you so much. QTV, you asked a question on the announcement by the United States government regarding the case that has just been initiated to forfeit the property in Potomac in Maryland in the United States, claiming to be the property of former President Jammeh, and the reaction of the Gambia government to that. Well, thank you so much for that question. As a government, we are keenly following the process that has just been initiated. We have been collaborating with a number of countries around the world to help us trace properties or funds that could have been snatched out of this country, and to help us identify, and if the process of verification comes out in favor of the argument that they belong to the government of the Gambia, then they can be returned back to the government of the Gambia. And as this is going to be a court matter, we keenly await the process to be concluded, but we welcome the initial move, and we hope that it can come out in favor of the litigant, which is the United States, the initiator of the process, the State Department, responsible for this type of forfeiture, and hopefully we hope that it can be returned back to the government of the Gambia. Thank you so much.
Next. Go ahead. Yes. Thank you, Fatu. Very good questions. The first question relates to the recently held political rallies by the NPP. Is that what it is? Yeah. Yes. Realistically, as a government spokesperson, it is the Gambia government that pays my salary and not the NPP. So obviously, every political party, as you know, has its own spokesperson. The spokesperson of the NPP is the better person to answer that question. As a Gambian citizen, how do I feel about political rallies amid the COVID pandemic? I think it's unwise. That's my answer. It's unwise to have political rallies either by the NPP or any political party. Dr. Samate has just outlined the looming danger of this disease and the facilities that are being upgraded to tackle this disease, to the extent that we have to now be wearing masks. You know how inconvenient these things are. You know, I struggle to wear it myself, but then this is the situation. So if people are holding political rallies amid this pandemic, I think it's very unwise. That's my honest opinion. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. There is not that. President Adama Barrow is the primus inter pares of this country. He's the first citizen. He has all the arsenals to hear and listen to whatever happens across the length and breadth of this country. So naturally, he's aware of what has happened. But was he aware before it happened? That's the question. Being aware before it happened suggests that he subscribed to that. President Barrow does not. He is aware of the ravaging danger of this disease. From the very onset of the disease, he came out with a package that is unprecedented in the history of this country. $700 million Gambian dollars across the length and breadth of this country. Not everybody got it, majority of Gambians got it. Because the restriction of the movement and the restricting of the movement of the Gambian people suggested that something has to be given to them to keep them calm at home. So a man who gives out this kind of package naturally would not go and endanger the life of the Gambian people. So I think it's a mistake, it's unwise, and Minister told me some remedial measures are in place to tackle that situation. And when and if that happens, we will come and tell you what has happened. You know, it's regrettable.
Regarding your other question directed at me, or directed to me, on pledge by President Barrow to give 10% of his salary to the NDP cause, I actually don't know what is the status of that right now, because I am not responsible for computing salaries, but I can find out. Regarding the government's effort to support the business community, you have just seen, even in the National Assembly recently, a package that, we've put together, the computation that was done to look at the impact of COVID on the local businesses, the hospitality industry, the commerce and trade, and also the services, the service industry in this country. Now, the Gambia government is engaging the Gambia Chamber of Commerce through the National Business Council. They had their first meeting last Saturday, and they are coming to have another meeting tomorrow as part of efforts to look at the impact of COVID on the businesses and what can be done. A lot of suggestions have already been forwarded to the government through the Ministry of Finance. Some businesses are asking for tax deferral. Some are asking for waivers. Some are asking for direct support. So government is engaging them. We also know that we are a small country with a small economy, but that notwithstanding, we also understand the situation of the crisis burden on us by COVID-19, and we will do the needful to see that we give the necessary support to the indigenous businesses, because all throughout the world we know that it is the small-scale industries that actually are the biggest employers throughout Africa. So supporting them to survive, to continue to render the services that they are doing should always be our topmost priority, and that is our priority, and we are engaging them for an outcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Somani. Well, as a start, I want to remind everyone that probably when we speak is when we even need the mask most. So, because that's when we inhale in a lot, and that's when also whatever is in our mouth comes out. So, yeah, just as a reminder, it's a little bit uncomfortable, and it keeps on moving as we speak. So we keep on adjusting it, but let's maintain it. Yeah, the former Ndeban Clinic has two main buildings. The smaller building is completed, and it's able to take 14 beds. The bigger building the work on the bigger building will start soon. So that is ongoing. Now, if and when we need the smaller building, those 14 beds, they will be used. It's because there is no overflow yet from the current treatment centers to that place. So that means the current treatment centers are not full to capacity yet. That's why it's not been used. But we'll use it as and when we need it. But of course, we want to complete the whole place so that there's we don't have patients on one side and then work going on the other side. But if we need to use it even today, we will rush to go and use it. Thank you very much. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor, for the reminder. Your question is really very interesting and vital. Sustainability is very important in everything we do. We say our priority is providing water for every Gambian because water is a basic human right. For every borehole that we build, we have a water committee in that community. And people pay regularly, whether it's $5 for family or $10, they have their own bank account. What we have done, we have insured all these facilities for 1 year. If there is any problem within the 1 year, we will fix it. After the 1 year, we are expecting that if there is a problem, the community would have made some savings and they will use their resources now to fix it. But the way this structure is built, we don't envisage that they will have a lot of problems. If you see the quality of work, the stainless steel tanks, and the network, you don't expect that they will have problems very soon. But in case they do, we are hoping they would have saved a lot of money to provide for the services to continue. As regards the feed mills, and the hatchery. For the hatchery, what we have done, we have trained 7 of our staff in aquaculture. These people are employed by the Department of Fisheries, and they are posted at Jahali at the hatchery, and they will not only take care of the hatchery, they will be giving technical support to the communities that would have these facilities. As regards the feed mills, we have already trained 5 people from each of the 2 of them. The idea here is, not only would they provide feed for the whole country, we are hoping that among those 5 people, they will have entrepreneurs that will begin to look at having their own feed mills. Because aquaculture can employ a lot of people, a lot of youth and a lot of women. And even individually at your own backyard, you can have your fish pond. So we hope that this will catch fire. Rather than going to the market to buy fish, you can have fish from your own pond. So we hope that the sustainability is inbuilt in both these 2 projects, and Gambians will take advantage of that.
Thank you, Usman Mane of GRTS. You asked this question of enforcing the regulation on wearing masks. I want to hope that everybody in this country would understand the need to prevent oneself from this disease, and that we will see the need to wear the mask, and that the police would not have to have the recourse to force people to prevent themselves from a disease that is deadly. The police are part of us, they are our own, and they should be seen to be the last resort in helping ourselves, in a pandemic situation like this. So we will continue with the public messaging, the radios, the television, and all kinds of media will continue to be engaged. The risk communication people are here from the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Information, and we will engage them to continue the sensitization, the mass sensitization. Really, you don't need the police to come and tell you that please put on this to save yourself, put on this to prevent you getting infected. And if that message can sink with the people, I think we will not envisage the security forces having to come and arrest you. But of course, in any situation, you have some people who will deliberately flout the rules because they are just troublemakers. We don't envisage any unnecessary confrontation between the police and the population over this, because if the police are there, they are only there to help you know that they are raising an important issue with your health. You know, put on a mask to make sure that you don't get yourself infected, or to prevent yourself from getting this, disease. So I think, we should all take it seriously, because all throughout the world we have seen people dying. We have seen how in developed countries they are not able to cope with this pandemic. So we are in a very privileged situation as a country, where our infection rate is much lower compared to all the countries in Africa, and that we are not in that situation yet where we can say that really, our health situations cannot cope. But that notwithstanding, government is spending a lot of money in sensitization, in quarantine, and also, going around the country to raise the awareness levels of the people. I think right now, plans are being made to engage the entire 33 community radios and mainstream radios and television stations and even online platforms to raise the awareness levels of our people. Let us listen to the messages and take them seriously. We don't need the police to come and arrest you just because, you don't want to prevent yourself from getting a disease that is deadly. Thank you.
I just Thank you, Honorable Minister. Just one very important thing that I almost forgot to talk about. I was reminded the Gambia government, that the Gambia government takes very seriously. And we appeal to all of you as journalists and as communicators, reporters, and as citizens, and as responsible human beings, to keep the word going, that in this country we are one and the same people. In the past 2 weeks, there has been a lot of peddling again on the internet about tribalism, ethnicity, insulting people, some very reprehensible remarks, quite frankly. We have seen this in the old dispensation, and we thought the idea of name calling of ethnic groups would have been history in this country. The Gambia is almost a very unique situation. We intermarry, we do everything in this country. If it is time for Christmas, you don't know who is Christian, you don't know who is Muslim. If it is time for Ramadan or whatever, it's the same thing. The Christian community respects the Muslim community to the extent that you don't even hear music. There is almost monastic silence in the whole country for the whole of Ramadan. And then as ethnic groups, Fula, Mandinka, Jola, these are all social constructions. At the end of the day, your ethnic group does not determine your intelligence. It does not determine your handsomeness or your ugliness. It doesn't determine your citizenship. It is who are you that defines you. So we are appealing to you journalists, to all of us for that matter, to avoid talking about issues that can bring ethnic tension and ethnic problems in this country. If you are going to interview somebody who is going to make remarks that are reprehensible about an ethnic group, please stay away from that. Instead, try to bring us all together. Nobody is superior to the other, but nobody also is inferior to the other. We are all citizens. We have seen Jawara from Barajali, a very modest background. He became president. Yaya Jammeh from Kanilai, very modest background. Adama Barrow from Mankamang, very modest background. I think the Almighty God has even taught us something, that there's some humility even in selecting leaders. You know, we have people with 6 PhDs and master's degrees, they contest elections, they cannot even have 5 votes. So there must be a reason why the Gambian people do what they do. Our people sometimes don't go to school, but let's not think that not going to school doesn't mean that people are actually not sophisticated. Our people, the farmers, are so sophisticated, the fishermen likewise. So I'm appealing to you that the Gambia government takes these things very seriously, and in the coming week, there will be engagements. Our religious leaders, our community leaders, the Gambia government is going to engage them, and they'll be working with you to make sure that we continue this beautiful country, the way it is, this structure, you know, of Manjagos marrying Fulas, of Fulas marrying Mandinkas, of Jolas marrying Mandinkas. We are one and the same. So please, this was something I was asked to talk about, and I almost forgot it, and I'm sorry for that. But please take it very seriously. You know, we are one people. Yeah. So one more question, and then we can wrap it up. If you have a question, you have already asked us. Yes or no? Okay, we just give. We'll be biased and give GRTS one more opportunity. It's the national broadcaster, so it represents every Gambian. Go ahead. But, oh, really?
Thank you very much. We are partners with the Navy. And when you hear me talk about the Fisheries Management Center, it is going to be for the Navy and ourselves. That would mean that any vessel entering Gambian waters would be seen from our headquarters. So rather than the Navy going out every day to look for people, they would be able to know who is coming in, and they can go and apprehend them. In addition to that, in our cooperation, any fine that we make for IUU issues, 40% of that goes to the Navy. And we are working with the Navy to get a surveillance vessel that will be a faster one. Now what we've got cannot go and stay out there for more than a day. We want a situation where the Navy can go out and stay for a week or more if they want. And that is what we are working on now with the new Minister of Defense. We are putting plans together so that we can have that kind of vessel that can go out to sea and stay for a long time. But like I said, we may not need to go out for a long time, because if we have the Fisheries Management Center, any vessel that enters our waters is seen, and we can take appropriate action.
Yeah, on that note, I thank you all, honorable ministers, permanent secretary, senior government officials, representative of the police, members of the press corps, for your attention throughout this press conference, and for the discipline and the decorum in maintaining a very lively press conference. This is the maiden one, like the minister said. We also notice we have some little logistical problems, and we promise we will improve on them. Next time we meet, I'm sure we're going to have a podium. Instead of having to move from place to place, we will have one station podium. And also there will be instances where we will be migrating from one place to another. Instead of like every minister coming here, sometimes we will also go to like the Minister of Defense, and then he will host us, or the Higher Education Ministry. So at least so that it will be more diverse. And also, even our communication officers also will do now a better job. They have to summarize. As journalists, you should be able to summarize from every ministry, not in more than 2 paragraphs. I think that has taken a toll of the press conference. At the end of this session, the minister wants to meet the newly appointed communication officers. So all communication officers should stay to have a, little meeting with the minister somewhere, about the new program. And next week, we will also announce the next venue, and we also appeal to communication officers to make sure that they send in their briefs from every ministry at least latest by Tuesday. Sometimes, of course, events happen that overtake other events. We understand, but normally we would want at least news briefs from every ministry to be sent in by Tuesdays. And the permanent secretaries are the technicians and the directors and deputy permanent secretaries. All the time it's important to liaise with them and know exactly what is happening, so that you don't just go and send stories without them knowing exactly what you send in. It's important they know. Sometimes the information you have may not even be sufficient. So always talk to them all the time. They are accessible. We've talked about this, and the ministers are so happy about this, because what we want now is visibility. We want people to know what the Gambia government is doing. Yes. Yes. So thank you so much, honorable ministers. And then this ends the press conference. I wish you all a very blessed weekend. Thank you.
Supersonics Money Transfer is giving you an unbeatable offer this Tobaski. Your family and friends can now send you monies from the whole of Europe, US, Canada, and Switzerland for absolutely free. Yes! This Tobaski, enjoy our safe, fast, reliable, and convenient money transfer service with the largest payout network in the Gambia at 0 transfer charges. So your family and friends wouldn't have to worry about transfer charges when sending you monies from Europe, USA, Canada, and Switzerland this Tobaski. Visit the Google Play Store or the Apple Store today to download the Supersonics Money Transfer app and enjoy excellent money transfer services only with Supersonics. Support your own. Tobaski just got better with Supersonics Money Transfer.
Supersonics Money Transfer ñoo leen indil xéewal bu rëy a rëy jëmale ko ci Tabaski bi ñooy digmal. léegi say mbokk ak sa ay am di jàmm mën nañ la yónnee xaalis bàyyee ko foofu ca Europe, US, Canada wala Switzerland te duñ ci fay dara. waaw li ko waral mooy mbootaay yónneekaay xaalis bi gën a màgga ci Gambia ñoo leen ko indil. gaaw na, wóor na, noppale na te amul benn jafe-jafe bi ci nekk. kon nag yéen mbokk yi ak am di jàmm yi jaratut ngeen di xalaat ci boo leen di yónnee xaalis fii ci biir réewi Gambia bàyyeekoo foofu ca Europe, US, Canada wala Switzerland ci Tabaski bi ñuy digmal. saytaleen ñu ci Google Play Store wala Apple Store ngeen mën a am suñ app bi di Supersonics Money Transfer app ndax ngeen mën a xéewalu ci xéewal bi ñu leen indil. doolalal li nga moom Supersonics sama Tabaski ren neex na.
Supersonics Money Transfer wolle kudima nafalie nimbanna salonga nyatili menna terol nin kanintelu nibe kodo kile nan kabona Europe, USA, Canada wala Switzerland hani transfer itajolaje. katuko atariata alano warta ndum fana hani bata da clinteje ni pareta pour ka ko do kinan nimbanna salo nga nyatili menna nko terol nin kanintelu sain ite mira la koteke ni pareta ko do kinan kabona Europe, USA, Canada wala hani fo Switzerland nyatili nimbanna salo menna alterno Google Play Store wala na Apple Store bi alena new Supersonics Money Transfer app download al se muna fanno nin timiliti kulutola ni pareta pour ka ko do kinan Gambia banko kanjang anin Supersonic strong ibe njela wolto nko alfintinan aliyalla fengo sembentuya anin Supersonic nabanna salo diata.
Supersonics Money Transfer adani on lawol webungol fi wawon hendade mbodi ko leydi do bingure mon jaraibe jakila sitahibe ondula burado andirede Europe, USA, Canada kanyum e Switzerland be yobata hay hunde sibe nuldi on mbudi ogol burgol yajude e sengo nuldugol e hendagol mbudi ko leydi Gambia do ndedo julde donking bingure mon no wawi hendade mbudi ko leydi Gambia do e Supersonics Money Transfer iwra don ka Europe, USA, Canada kanyum e Switzerland ndedo julde donking nafitoroɗe ko ɓura andirede Google Play Store maɗum Apple Store joni fitum wawon nafitorade nuddugol mbuɗi ko leydi Gambia ɗo nafitoro Supersonics Money Transfer app on joni fi wawa nafitoragol ɗum ɗo fow jogito ko jeyɗa kon julde donking on weli e Supersonics Money Transfer.
Supersonics Money Transfer koku ngarola wasume desla yema kewye yonami au kupali dibu kana koli pankungol ni kubonni sikoras kapurum kalulumai Europe, USA, Canada, di Switzerland banjale du cham haniwaf nye napa woro di service nu manja ye fange me wakene ye fange me jake de bonye sikoras di sukete Gambia au bachamut haniwaf esalawiye woto kupali dibukani tamuku deung diba chama nanosan konde bonchi koras kapurum Europe, USA, Canada wala Switzerland di sela yema kewye loken di Google Play Store wala Apple Store jat munu download Supersonics Money Transfer app ye munu nafa woro di bonye sikoras kapurum Supersonics disofor wami wolola di Supersonics Money Transfer esela yema kay esunsu meban